Yeah, what's going on? Hey, things are
All right,
working
everybody,
today.
welcome
Here we
to
go.
NorCal.
I don't know what's going on here. Let me start here.
All right, everybody, welcome to NorCal Sports Network.
And this is the same hat that Brock Purdy's dad wears. Chat loves it when Marty Lurie comes on.
Anytime you lose a game this time of year, when you can't go backwards, it's a problem.
All right, everybody, welcome on into NorCal Sports Network. We've got a special guest lined up today, Tony Basilio from Knoxville, Tennessee. He's the big sports guy back there in Knoxville, and he's going to give us some great insight into Tony Vitello. He knows Tony very well, so you're going to hear it firsthand from Tony Basilio. Welcome, Tony, to the show. Appreciate you being here. I know
it's good to talk to you.
Yeah, hey man, we got the same last name ending, Lio. We got the same head shape, bald heads, man.
Yep.
And we got Tony V in San Francisco. I know that was a tough loss for Tennessee Vol fans, but it is Giants fans are excited. Give us your insight into Tony. Tell us everything you can about Tony, that what Giants fan can expect from him, and just from a baseball side, and also from a a human being side.
I watched this press conference today, and that's who he is. He's what you see is what you get. He respects people. He's going to respect this opportunity the Giants have given him. Anybody that interacts with him in that community, anybody that interacts with him, anyone that has anything to do with him will come away from him going, it's a pretty good guy. I can root for him. Tony is the first coach I've ever heard say this. He calls himself a teammate with his players, and he approaches his club that way. And I think he'll do that in San Francisco. He's not going to be a guy that's going to throw players under the bus in the media. He's not going to be a guy that's going to need to get himself over in his clubhouse and in his locker room. I think he'll walk in there extremely humbly. I think he'll walk in there wanting to learn about how to manage at that level and manage the day-to-day of being at that level. And I think he's somebody that, watching Buster Posey with him today, it seems like they're going to blend the analytics with the human side of the game. And I think Tony is a perfect guinea pig to try this out on. I love Tony's answer when he was asked about, well, you don't have experience and you didn't pay your dues. And he said, listen, he said, in the college baseball world, we spent a lot of nights all by ourselves. I would text Tony sometimes and go, where are you? I'm in Miami. I would text him and say, hey, where are you? I'm in Miami. I'm down in Texas looking at a player. I'm in North Dakota. I'm here. I'm there. I'm like, do you ever stay at home? And the truth about Tony is that he attacked this job here with a great deal of respect, but he really respected everybody he came in contact with. I think he's a great candidate to try this with. I think he's got the right personality. And here's the way I describe him, because you meet people like him in your life and you go, smart guy over there. He's a great room reader, and he's a highly emotionally intelligent person. And I mean emotionally intelligent out the wazoo. And so you're going to get a guy that's going to go in there very humble. And it's going to be interesting to see if he and Buster can mix and match the human side with the numbers, not be given into all the numbers, because Tony's going to do things in games that people obviously are going to disagree with. It's one of the great things about the sport of baseball.
Yeah.
We get to disagree and hate on the manager. And I would do that frequently with him on the air, but he always came on the show. He always made time for us. He would give me crap right back. He'd say to me, "How many games have you won?" Which was a good question. But what I would tell him is, "Tony, I don't know how many games I've won, but I haven't lost any, unlike you." Because on our side, we're undefeated. Of course, we don't have any wins either, but we're undefeated. And so it's going to be really interesting to see how he does. If I was betting on one guy to be able to break the barrier and do it successfully, it would be Tony.
Yeah, I'm very excited about this hire. I think part of managing, when I look at big league managers, a lot of times things really don't make a lot of big difference until you get to the playoffs. I mean, maybe there's a couple games here and there during the year, bad choices of bringing in guys from the bullpen or pinch hitting this guy or not pinch hitting this guy. Yeah, all that comes into play, but it really comes into play in the playoffs. But the big thing that I love about Tony and what's different about baseball than football head coach or basketball, basketball and football, it's all about decisions every play, and there's so much to do. And with baseball, it's a lot just really about communication and like you said, he's not going to throw players under the bus. He's going to support these guys. He's going to be able to communicate guys. He's not going to promise guys. I heard Drew Gilbert a couple nights ago. He was on a local interview in the Bay Area. And when Tony recruited Drew Gilbert said, he didn't give me all this, like, you're going to play right field and bat third. And, you're going to be the guy. He said, no, you're going to have to earn your playing time. And that's all big leaguers want. Any athlete, they want to know the truth. They don't want to be told, because if somebody's selling you something and you don't tell the truth, you're going to lose the whole clubhouse. And I think Tony's going to be a breath of fresh air. What I see with this, Tony, is that Gabe Kapler was here from 2020, and then he was here for 4 years, 2023, had one good season, but he didn't communicate well. He was not a good communicator, was a kind of an aloof type person, very strange, you might say. A lot of people thought this dude Kapler is just weird. People are going to love Tony. They're going to love Tony because he communicates well. He's a straight shooter. He's a normal guy. And that's what I love about him. Tell me about some of the text conversations you would have, if you could, with Tony, and just kind of enlighten us about some of just the kind of guy he is with responses. Yeah.
Well, I mean, here's who Tony is. I mean, I would text him more about things like UFC, other sports.
Yeah.
Did you see this? Did you see what just happened here? Did you see what just happened there? Tony is a sportsman. Tony loves all these sports. Tony's father was a soccer coach, and he grew up in St. Louis. And Tony knows tons of sports. Like, he knows, but he really loves that UFC thing. And he would get these, like, we had some UFC fighters that would train locally. They would get around, and the guys on his team would talk about this. They would get around over in Tennessee's complex and roll around the mat like they were wrestling. They had like a mat in there, like one of those, like wrestling mat kind of deals. And Tony's in there, like, and I'm like, Tony, you're not tough. And he's like, well, I don't see you trying me. We would just have fun. The thing about Tony, when you talk about Gabe Kapler, because that's one thing we have in common. I'm a Phillies fan. Gabe Kapler's a total weirdo.
Yeah.
And that's a weird guy. Okay.
Yeah.
Tony and Gabe Kapler was a guy that majored in the minors. That is not Tony Vitello. Tony Vitello does not major in the minors. Tony's a guy that, hey, what's important to me is we're going to work hard and we're going to do this together as a team. That's what's important to me. One of your cohorts asked me, made a couple of appearances here the last couple of weeks in the media there. One of your cohorts asked me, what will happen when Devers doesn't run out a ground ball, or one of the veteran players doesn't run out a ground ball? Because those guys are going to try Tony. You and I both know those guys are going to try Tony. They're going to try him behind closed doors, and they're going to try him in front of 40,000 people. They're just going to try him. That's just how this is. What you're going to get from Tony is he's not going to Billy Martin blow up on somebody publicly. He's never going to do that. I asked him one time watching the college game, Tony, how do you sit there and watch a guy drop a pop-up right in front of the dugout? Ball's in his glove. How do you keep from snapping on a player? And he says to me more than one time, he said, and what good's that going to do? Which is a great question. What good's it going to do? He said, what's it going to add? If I go out there and yell at somebody when I'm making a pitching change, what good's that going to do? He said, everybody out here is trying. The thing about the running the ball out at first base is an interesting one, because it's going to happen. And that's what somebody was getting at today at the press conference, where you can't be totally 100% hardcore for 162 games. There's no question that's true. There's a pace to that sport that makes it different than most others. Tony will adapt, and he'll never show anybody up publicly. It's just not who he is. He's not going to do that.
Yeah. Spencer, did I walk into a bald convention? Hi, Dan, Tony, and chat. Way to go, Spencer. All right. Yeah. I loved his answer about in the press conference today when they asked him about first one, are you going to tone it down? And he said, well, my mom would like me to tone it down. My dad would like me to turn it up a notch. I just love the fact that he hates to lose. And that's what's came out of this to me, is he hates to lose. And, you're going to lose 60, 70 games in baseball pretty much on an annual basis. So, and maybe more, but depending on how he handles it. But, the fact that he hates to lose, always the greatest players were always ones that hated to lose. You asked Joe Montana, what was more important, the winning or the fear of losing? He would say the fear of losing. He didn't want to lose. Guys that know that, Michael Jordan, same way. They just hate to lose. Champions hate to lose. And because of that, I think the Giants are in really good hands. And yeah, you got to have the horses to win. But Tony will get the maximum out of these guys, is what I think, because they're going to believe in him, like you said, and he's going to communicate with them, and everybody says, well, it's college kids. It's a whole lot different than dealing with, Devers and Chapman, guys that are,
sure,
they're making $25 million plus a year. I look at it this way, Tony. Buster Posey hired the guy. He's fresh out of the game. If Buster Posey respected him enough to hire him, why would he think the players wouldn't respect him?
And the other thing is, people are people, man. I got a friend of mine that spent 20 years in Major League Baseball, and we were having the same conversation. He said, you know what players want to believe? Players want to believe you can help make them better. Because if you help make them better, they're going to make more money. And everybody wants to win. And at that level, everybody wants to win, and everybody wants to get paid. And another thing you said earlier, which is true, what is a manager at the end of the day? What is their real impact on your overall win total? They're going to make some good decisions throughout 162, and they're going to make some bad decisions. They're going to have some good nights and some bad nights, and it's all going to kind of even out. When it really matters is when you're going to get into a postseason can you handle it? Let me tell you something. This guy can handle the pressure, and he can keep people engaged when it comes to the pressure and when it comes to money time. He's shown us that here. That postseason tournament they have at the college level is really crazy. And baseball is such a high variance game from game to game. Right. You got to kind of live with the swings. But he was able to really pull a couple games out of the fire because he just, he just sort of outmanaged people, and he just had a knack. The guy just has a knack for winning. And the funny thing about sports is, like you were talking about Montana before. I remember being in Veterans Stadium as a kid and watching Joe Montana take our lunch money as an Eagle fan. And he didn't throw the ball the hardest. He wasn't the fastest guy on the field, but most times his team had more points than your team did at the end of the game. And Tony's a guy that's going to be extremely humble. He's going to be very engaging. He's going to be good to people in that community. I think his players are going to play for him because I don't think he's going to be very arrogant toward them, and he's not going to be aloof. And he's going to communicate to guys why they're playing or why they're not playing. He will not be afraid. He's not a guy that's afraid of conflict, and he's not afraid to communicate. And so for that reason, I think Buster Posey looked at him and thought, you know what? This is a pretty good time to try this. I got the keys to the kingdom here. I love this brand. I love that we have a great fan base here. Yeah. We've gotten stale. All those things you heard him basically admit today. I think Tony Vitello is a risk worth taking. I really do.
Yeah, I do too. Because I look at it this way: what is the worst that could happen? They've been a 500 team for 4 straight years.
Right.
They've made the playoffs once in 9 years. One winning season, which was 21.
Right.
This is the time to be bold and take that, because what does bringing in an experienced manager? They just had Bob Melvin, who was here for 2 years. Melvin's the 20th all-time winningest manager in Major League Baseball history. Mm-hmm. What did that do?
And in the modern game, when you start talking about limited playoff appearances, especially now that we've added all these teams and watered it down.
Yeah.
I mean, it can't be that hard to get to the postseason. And I realize that the West is one hell of a division. Look, San Diego's spending like drunken sailors. And the Dodgers are the root of evil. They come from hell and they smell like smoke.
Yeah.
The Arizona's got a good scrappy team,
right.
And we're both National League guys. And so I'm all very familiar with all these rosters. Tony's going to attract players too. People haven't thought about this, but
yes,
he said this today, and he's right. He's been involved with a who's who list of guys that he doesn't always get, but guys that end up. There's a reason Major League Baseball, the Major League Baseball Network, has had Tony on for the last several years as part of their draft coverage. And it's because he touches so many guys. And then, like in the Southeastern Conference, these guys all know these guys that manage these other teams. They do. They all know each other.
Right.
And look, it's very contentious when they go between the lines and play at that level. It's a pretty interesting sport, the sport of college baseball. Completely different than, obviously, the Major League Baseball. Not as clean a game in terms of the fielding and different things like that. The metal bat, it drives people crazy. I get it. I didn't watch college baseball till Tony Vitello got here. If that tells you anything. I would not put it on. I would not look at it. I never gave it a chance. And he swept this place up into a fervor with his, come on, we can do this. And it feels like visiting with folks like you, Giants Nation just wants somebody to say, hey, come on back. We're going to be what we were. We're going to get back there where my sillies are. We get to the postseason, I call us the sillies, because Rob Thompson can't manage. I mean, he's fine in the regular season, but some of the things that guy does in the postseason, and they just keep bringing him back. So But anyway, it's another story for another day.
Yeah, yeah.
Going on the Phillies. Don't get me going on the Phillies.
Phillies. That was that was tough. Hopefully the Blue Jays will handle the Dodgers one more time. One more time. But yeah, I wanted to find out from you what the atmosphere, like you said, you never really watched college baseball, and really college baseball isn't that big on the West Coast, even though they have some great players. A lot of the great players come from, West Coast schools.
Mm-hmm.
And but what was it that, did the university get behind Tony? Did they make Tony a centerpiece in marketing, or how did Tennessee Vols baseball become such a huge thing?
They just won, and they won right away.
But winning, I know in the SEC in Knoxville, I've been back there. It's a kind of more of a community where winning out here. I mean, Stanford wins, Cal wins, but nobody really follows them. There's no big following with baseball. Right. Was there something that Tony just made it more of an attraction? Like, was it the style or what?
Sure. He was extremely boisterous. They were kind of the bad boys of the sport, which didn't bother him. He likes his team to have an edge and play with an edge.
I heard one Giants podcaster out here. He put out a tweet and he said he loved this hiring. He goes, "I'm ready for some FU baseball." Is that kind of the style that Tony plays? Is a little bit of FU baseball? He won't play like he might run it up on guys, or how does that go?
I'll tell you what surprised me today, because I thought he would have done it. I would have thought he would have said something about the Dodgers today, because that's his style. He is not going to be afraid of them. He came into this league and did not genuflect anybody, even though he was at a have-not. Tennessee, when he got here, had the second worst facilities in this league, and he won right away. And I'm telling you, they played in a borderline high school stadium when he got here. And when he left, they just built him a $125 million stadium, and they hated losing him. But look, are you going to turn down one of the 10 best jobs in Major League Baseball? I mean, who's going to do that? Yeah. Who's going to do that? And I don't think he had any designs on leaving. I really don't. I don't know. Thing I've wondered in my mind is, what if it had been the Florida Marlins that would have called him? Because really, that's the type of club that you would think would take a chance like this on a college manager, somebody lower level. I don't think he'd have left. I think the fact that it was one of the premier jobs in the sport that had that recent history. Now, they've gotten away from it, obviously, but that recent history in the sport, I think that was really attractive to him. And I think he feels like, I could be a part of helping to get this thing back. So here's my thing with Tony. I don't put anything past him. I would never say that he can't do something. And when somebody tells him he can't do something, it's really going to drive him to try and prove you wrong. He's the type of guy that kind of stuff fuels him. My thing with him, though, and I'm just going to be honest with you, is how will he learn to temper himself over 162 games? Because he hates losing. Don't we all?
Yeah.
But he really, really, really hates losing. So, and invariably at that level, you're going to have that 6-7 game losing streak.
Right. Everybody
does.
Yep. Yeah. I guess that'll be a learning curve for him, but is he I've seen him, highlights where he gets tossed out of a game. The one notable one where he chest bumped the umpire.
Yeah.
Is he a firecracker, loose cannon with umpires? Is that just periodically where it happens? Is that a normal thing?
No, he's a fiery guy. He's a fiery guy. He's type of guy from the dugout at this level that screamed at umpires. screamed at those home plate umpires. The thing that will help next year, obviously, is the implementation of sort of
the
this
challenge
robo
system.
deal, the challenge
Yeah.
system. Yeah, it's going to
Yeah.
help. And then obviously the umpires at the major league level have way too much power, as we know.
Right.
And if you breathe through the wrong nostril in their direction, they'll throw you out of a damn game.
Right.
So, these guys have way too much power. So, I think Tony will acclimate himself, but yeah, he's not afraid to, like, if they're on the coast at LA, or if out in LA on the coast to me, but if they're out in LA and something happens and he comes out of the dugout and the fans start getting on to him, it's not too much of Tony to turn around and tell the fans who's number one in his own way, or however he will. Tony's not a shrinking violet. He's not afraid, and he won't be afraid. And I just think here's my takeaway, and I've got to get going here because I can get some sleep. But Tony's main superpower is that he's one of the most emotionally intelligent people I've ever been around. And I love being around people that can read rooms. He can figure out who in the room does this, who does that. And he controlled his clubhouse in that same way. He said it today. He said, we don't coach everybody the same. Like Drew Gilbert. You saw Drew Gilbert in the locker room in those videos with the Giants. That was a tempered Drew Gilbert from what he was at Tennessee. Drew's tempered compared to what he was.
Wow.
Drew was a psycho here. Nobody played harder. Nobody competed harder. Nobody wanted to win harder. Nobody talked more trash than Drew Gilbert. And Drew and Tony were like two peas in a pod in that way. Those two guys understood each other.
Yeah.
So, it wouldn't surprise me if, they get into camp and there's an end of the roster guy and they've got a choice between somebody that's got a little fire in them or somebody that's a little more of a flatliner. If Tony chooses the guy that's got a little fire, that's kind of, Tony likes the fire guys a little bit.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Well, Tony, I really appreciate you jumping on here today, and tell everybody who's watching, and this will live on YouTube. Tell everybody where they can find you.
Yeah, I'm available. My name is Basilio. If you just look up TonyBasilio.com, and we do all kinds of crazy stuff here. If you want to hear some people yell and scream after football games, we do post-game shows. I do a show every day. I'll be on Eastern time after the Tennessee plays Oklahoma Saturday as we lay this down. That game starts at 7:30 Eastern. It'll be over around 11 o'clock. I'll be on to about 4 a.m.
Wow.
Doing a post-game call-in show. Yeah, that's nuts, right? I mean,
this is tonight?
This is Saturday night. These people here are as serious about college football as breathing. It's like, and I don't know which is a higher priority, breathing or college football. It's pretty close.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. So the Tony Basilio show on YouTube, and then you're on the radio back there as well.
Yeah.
What's the call letter? That's broadcast on YouTube?
Yeah.
Too, right?
Well, I'm on Fan Run Radio here locally, which an AM FM signal, and then you can hear me over at tclub.team or tonybasilio.com. And then in all the places where we are. When I got into this as a radio guy, Dan, maybe like you did. And now I'm we do everything but radio.
Right. Radio's kind of dying a little bit. Yeah. Before we let you go, one last thing, if you could give us, I know you've been there like 30 years, right? At UT.
Yeah. Long enough to know better.
Okay. You got any Peyton Manning stories, a hilarious Peyton Manning story you could share with any of us on this?
Peyton Manning, let me think. No, not really. No, not really.
Now,
he is a total character, and he's another guy. Let me tell you this. Okay. Tony and Peyton became fast friends here.
Okay.
And here's why. Because these are both really intelligent guys that like to have a good time. but also like to win. Those are the types of people Peyton Manning surrounds himself with. In fact, right before Tony took the job, he was the week before that at a high school football game, or at a middle school football game, watching Peyton Manning's son play in Chattanooga, which is about 100 miles from here. So Tony went down with Peyton to watch his son play, and Tony and Peyton, I bet you'll see Peyton Manning around there a little bit around Tony.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, we'll let you go. We got a song we're going to play after we let you go here. I haven't even heard it myself. It's an AI song that one of our listeners, senior put out about Tony V. It's called
Nice.
I'll give credit here for senior softball games. He says you got to come back. Senior follows you on your show back.
We're in trouble.
But he says that Tony Vitello's nickname is going to be Tony Victory. You heard it here first. Tony Victory.
Hey, I called him Tony Vols here because it was like a mob nickname. Tony Victory sounds like, just as long as they don't call you like Tony Lead Shoes, you're in good shape.
Yeah. There we go. All right. So we'll play this song. We'll let you go, get some rest, Tony. Love to have you come on again, maybe as the season comes.
You got it, my man. I'd love it.
Appreciate it. My fellow Paisan. Look at that. Last names. They're spelled L-I-O.
My best to you, Paisan. Thank
L-I-O
you.
at the end. Thanks, Tony. Good to have you.
Thank you,
Take
Paisan.
care. All right.
You.
All right. There we go. Tony Basilio joining us from Knoxville, Tennessee. Let's see if we can get a little listen to this song here. If I can pull it up here. Let me go for it right now. And let's one sec here. Let me see if I can do this. All right. Is this let me see it. Look at the board there. There it is. All right. Let's see how it. Okay, here we go, guys. Haven't heard it. See if it's going to play. Let's see. How do I get this to play? Where's my... Hold on, guys. I'm new at this. Where do I do this at? Got to hit play somewhere. Hold on. Sign in studio. What are we doing here? Why we got... I'm not sure what's going... Oh, maybe I need to open it up in another one. Maybe that's what I got to do. Let's try that. Maybe I got to open it up here. All right. Now, how do I play this? I don't see any play button. Sign in? Studio? I don't know. I'm not the most technical guy, right? I'll have to figure this out. Anyway, let's... Seniors info is on blast. We'll have to figure this out. Tony V has something infectious about him, and I'm all for it. The fan base deserves passion on all levels. Posey and Zach's full vision about to unfold. Hey, Tony. Yes, Don Michio, I agree 100%. They need infectious. They need this. The Giants need this. Will Martinez. Hey, Will. Good to see you. This is such a fascinating hire. I love his energy, and you can tell he is the kind of skipper you want to play for. Just watching the news in Knoxville and interviews about Tony V pumps me up. Yeah, me too. All right. Yeah, I'll have to get this figured out, Senior. We'll have to play this. This is good stuff, guys. Hey, that should do it. I do know that there is a on NBC Sports Bay Area, they were going to play an interview with Tony Vitello with Alex Pavlovic. So I'm going to go check that out. You guys can check that out. Is Dan going to start rapping about Tony V? Hey, you know what? I'll create a rap song. There we go. Create another one. That will be a lot of fun. So let's see. What else do we got in here before I head out here? We'll do some more stuff. Okay, Roberts exposes himself as a bad manager and things aren't firing on all cylinders. Even Dodger fans admit this themselves. They should bring Krappler back to LA. Oh, wow. Let's see. Chardal, can you have the link? Sure. As soon as I get out of here, I'll send you the link, Chardal. How's that? George, just no more raps. Yeah, that was off the cuff last night. The little rap, man. Hey, did you hear that, man? Isn't that awesome about what Tony Basilio said, that he'll be on till 4 a.m. talking college football? Wouldn't you love to live in an area in the SEC where college football, is king? It's such a difference in the West Coast. My goodness, we haven't had football on the West Coast since when? SC winning way back. It's been several years, but the Bay Area, man, we haven't had a winner. Even when Stanford was good, they didn't draw. It wasn't like a big thing, right? It wasn't a huge thing. Hey, hold on here. Let's see. Do I have somebody at my... Oh, yeah. Hey, I got to run, guys. Hold on. I got somebody at my door here. Hold on. Hey, I'll be right there. I'll be right there. Okay, hold on. I got to end this stream, guys. Take care. We'll see you on the next one. Have a good one.